If I commit suicide, it's not real. Elon Musk addresses speculation about his mental health. Now, how come every time someone veers away from the mainstream or do something conservative, leftists always question their mental health? You know, this happened during a live question and answer session with Elon Musk. Um, but before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here, and there's also a link to my Instagram where I put out even more news. All right, let's talk about this news. Elon Musk said during a live Q&A session following the first batch release related to the Twitter files that he is not having suicidal thoughts as some have been suggested. The comment was a response to a question about whether the new Twitter CEO was suicidal because there had been lots of talk about Musk's mental state. Quote, I do not have any suicidal thoughts. If I commit suicide, it's not real, Musk said late December 3rd as 100,000 people tuned into the discussion on Twitter Spaces. The Twitter files are a trove of documents revealing the Twitter censorship activities in the lead up to the 2020 presidential election. And I've done multiple videos on that. Matter of fact, I got a whole playlist on that if you want to get caught up on what's going on with that. But Musk joked that given the revelations in the files and his expressed plans to ensure that political powers have no undisclosed influence at the company going forward, powerful figures and institutions may want him out of the way. You know, like Epstein type stuff is what he was joking about. I really don't think it's a joke that funny because the powers that be are known for taking people out that way. But the series of internal Twitter communications released by Musk's new leadership of Twitter and independent journalist Matt Taibbi on Friday unveiled communications on how former Twitter executives censored reports about Hunter Biden's infamous laptop in the lead up to the 2020 presidential election. Musk said earlier in the week that this amounted to election interference, and I would agree with that. The billionaire on Saturday also denied claims on media reports about Twitter being, quote, some sort of right wing hellscape, saying it absolutely isn't. Quote, and in fact, there are far fewer bots, far fewer trolls, and it's actually, I think, way more fun and interesting. And we're seeing that in the user minutes and in the daily average users. And I agree. Twitter is a lot more fun now that Musk took over. And a lot of the stuff they say that's going on Twitter is really not going on. I can tell a lot of the negative stuff has gone down as far as quote unquote hate speech. But Musk said that Twitter censorship has been biased towards Democrats candidates, noting there was quote a very different standard applied to Republican candidates in the U.S. versus Democrat candidates. And it's well known. People knew that. I don't know why the left pretending like this wasn't happening. They knew it was happening. But quote, I'm not saying this is definitely the case. There appears to have been a double standard where Democrats were not censored, and left left courses were not censored. I'm sorry. Yeah, left courses were not censored, but right causes, I guess he meant causes, but it says courses, and right causes and Republicans were. He told Q&A session audience. I guess that was a typo. He meant causes. But quote, I think is I think this is frankly obvious to anyone who uses Twitter without an extra exposure of Twitter files. It's not even handed. The billionaire commented that Twitter censorship of people on the right side of politics was quote frankly the behavior that is to be expected from an organization that is based in San Francisco, which is far left. And he goes on to say, so from their standpoint, it wouldn't seem like they're being unfair. He noted it's simply how they see the world. I mean, but how? I don't understand. Why could you not think that's not fair? Well, how could you think that's okay to censor other people's views just because you disagree with them? I mean, that's basic. That's basic free speech 101. You learn this stuff in elementary school. An elementary school student can tell you that that's not the right thing to do. That is anti-constitutional. It's anti-American. But during the Q&A session, Musk also addressed claims that many advertisers are fleeing Twitter after he took over the platform and made sweeping changes to both staff and the system, such as easing many of Twitter's content moderation practices. The Tesla CEO said that Apple, which is Twitter's, quote, single biggest advertiser historically and presently, has fully resumed advertising, which is appreciated. Quote, I think we're starting to see a lot of other advertisers also resume their spending, he added. I think people would read all these stories in the media and then think that they were true, and they're not true. And I agree. It's just more media. It's just more propaganda. They're trying to take down Twitter now that Twitter is free and open for conservatives. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out themarkrepublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.